Tinubu seeks National Assembly approval for $21.5 billion foreign loans, bonds to fund projects and pensions. Let me read with one or two paragraphs here. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has formally approached the National Assembly seeking approval for new borrowings totaling over $21.5 billion, 2.19 billion euros, 15 billion Japanese yen, and a grant of 65 million euros. These borrowings, according to the president, are essential to support the government's plans to tackle Nigeria's critical infrastructure challenges, economic instability, and social welfare concerns amid dwindling financial resources. The requests were presented in three separate letters. The requests were presented in three separate letters, read during plenary sessions by Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, and Senate President Godswill Akpabio. The borrowing proposals all cover a comprehensive 2023-2026 external borrowing plan, capital grazing initiatives, and an issuance of domestic bonds to fund pensions under the contributory pension scheme. Barrister, when I read this, I almost had a headache. I don't get it. Nigeria, based on the common sense economy, is already under bankruptcy. Yet, we keep borrowing $21.5 billion, barrister, and with billions of euros and billions of Japanese yen. Barrister, where will Nigeria get this money to pay such kind of loans? Now, our loans now have gotten to, we have total debt of about, I think, 300 and something trillion naira or so. I read it in one journal. I think total. I don't know. I think I read it somewhere. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I think 300 and something trillion naira or thereabout. Total. Where, how, and when are we going to pay off all this debt, barrister? We are literally. I think it started from Obasanjo liberated us from this. Jonathan took us back to the borrowing, to the debt again. And what's his name? Buhari plunged us deeply into it. And in fact, he took it a step further by actually mortgaging our future. To the extent that all the crude oil, I don't know how many years into the future, that our crude oil is already paid. They are already bought. Our loans have already. So it means that we are not even generating enough income as it is right now, because our crude oil has been paid for into the future. Barrister, what is this?
Well, this is about politics. I told you the Tinubu has a master stroke that the coalition did not anticipate. This is all about 2027. With that war chest, how can he be defeated? Now, definitely, you look at it, in the letter that he wrote to the National Assembly, he framed it between 2025 and 2026. Now, there are matters arising. A component of the 2025-2026 budget was supposed to be borrowed funds. This has taken a whole new dimension. Is the president going to present a new budget or supplementary budget to the National Assembly. Because every expenditure of government, whether borrowed or not, is supposed to be appropriated before it is spent. This borrowing is not captured in the budget.
That's the point.
So they are going to have to present a supplementary budget. Secondly, there is a sentence in one of the letters he wrote. I'll read it. He said, removal of fuel subsidy has had a significant impact on the economy, necessitating bold financial intervention to cushion its effects and stimulate growth. So is that not a contradictory statement? You said you are going to remove subsidy to get more revenues, and then you remove subsidy, and then you are saying the impact is so excruciating that you have to borrow to cushion the effect. So where does that stand? You have removed subsidy to get more revenue, but the effect is such that you now have to borrow to cushion the effects of the adverse effects of the removal. Are you not cutting your nose to spike your, what do they call, cutting part of your body to patch the other part? It doesn't make sense. Are they now realizing that the removal of the subsidy was wrong? Because with the removal of the subsidy, it was meant to spur growth. But now they realize that it has not. So they have to borrow money to spur the growth of the economy. So where are we? And then part of what he said was that the Nigerians should look beyond negative economic statistics, that the reforms are working. They have admitted that all the economic indices statistics are negative. Is that not clear evidence? 2 years after the fuel subsidy, things are not going well. They are not going, there's no light at the end of the tunnel. They are not going in the right direction. Is that not clear evidence that the so-called policy is a total failure? It has not solved any problem. It has even brought us even greater problems. It has now brought us to a situation where we have to borrow humongous amounts of money, which is going, according to the government, to infrastructure, but also to pay pensions and social intervention policies.
Which is
A
recurrent.
euphemism for eating.
Can you honestly?
So you are,
it's recurrent. You are borrowing to pay recurrent.
You are borrowing to eat.
To fund recurrent, honestly.
You are borrowing to pay people pension. You are borrowing to feed, to eat. Who does that? In your own family economies with your wife and children, do you go to borrow money to feed? How will you pay back? Or you borrow money to do a business that will bring you income with which you will pay?
Okay, that brings me to a question, Barrister. This question is, because it got me curious. Because this global community, they know the Nigerian economy, they know our capacity, they know what we can do, they know the system, they know what is going on here. They know that Nigeria is bankrupt. Do we have limitless resources, for God's sake? What I'm asking is, why will a lender lend money to someone that is bankrupt? Just like you said. First of all, when a lender is lending you money, the lender, first of all, want to find out how you can pay, how you'll be able to pay back. That is first thing. First of all, investigate, verify your income, how you make your money, and what you intend to use the money for. For God's sake, who are those countries or those institutions borrowing Nigerian money? Borrowing Nigerian money to fund recurrent expenditure. I don't understand.
There is economic lending where all those statistics that you are mentioning, capacity of the borrower to pay, what he has, which count. But the political borrowing, all those things do not matter because you aim to take over the country, colonize the country. So you give them loans knowing very well that they cannot pay. I have listened to some Western people now. They know. If there's one article that if you read, they'll tell you they look out for countries that they want to manipulate, take over, and they give them loans. knowing very well that they can't pay back.
That's what China
When you
is
cannot pay
doing.
back, when you cannot pay back,
You
you
become
become
enslaved.
enslaved. So they know the situation of Nigeria. They are happy. Even if they mention more amount than that 21 billion, they are happy to give that money, knowing that we cannot pay back. But the manipulation of our economy will pay them back 100-fold, 100 times. If we continue to be a source of raw materials to the economy,
And
if we
honestly,
continue to motor to the economic model, they will continue to be rich and will continue to be poor. So in the long run, they have achieved what they set out to achieve.
you
And
see,
we are at the receiving end.
this boils down to selfishness, barrister. Because these politicians, they know what they are doing. They know that Nigeria cannot pay back. All they are doing is just for their personal gains. And the worst part is that substantial amount of, if not most part, not even substantial, I mean, most parts, substantial is an understatement. Most part of this amount is not utilized. They just share it. They just share this money, just like you pointed. 2027, this is just for 2027 purpose. Of course, they'll have more money to actually play politics with. That is exactly what is happening. These people
Can you
know exactly
calculate?
they know the repercussion of what they are doing, of their actions, but they
Of
don't
course
care
they
because it
know.
will not affect them personally and their families. Because when the chips are down, they will not be there. I don't know,
Of course
honestly.
they know. They
Oh my
know. But
God!
that is why I said this is politics. It's nothing short of, it's just politics. Do you know how much this money is in naira? How many trillions
Honestly,
is in naira? I can't even calculate. You have that war chest now, between now and 2027. Who will fight you? Even if, assuming for the sake of argument, you are deploying that money legitimately, you will win everywhere. Because you give people contracts left, right, and center. And all those people will be your supporters. They will, in turn, it will be a bandwagon. Every other person benefiting from him will also be your supporter. Forgetting that a day of reckoning is coming. What you are eating now, you are going to vomit.
they're eating your future, eating away your future.
Tomorrow, the children of tomorrow are the ones who will vomit, not us. The burden will be on tomorrow. If you borrow this money and construct a road, you claim it's an infrastructure or a bridge. The bridge will not pay its way back. It will not pay the loan for which it was used in building. It's Nigeria's economy that will pay. It is the oil, and the main economy is the oil. You even talk about the decrease in where is the decrease? You have removed subsidy. You are raking in billions and billions, trillions of naira. You have increased taxation on every front. You are raking in trillions. So where is the decrease in revenue that you are referring to? Is it the price of oil that has dropped? It has not dropped. So how come your revenue is dwindling by the statement that the president made? How come the revenue is, when every other thing has been increased, taxation has been increased, fuel subsidy has been removed, the price of oil is climbing up? So how come income of government is dwindling? Let them explain that to us. So you see, the Nigerian government, they know that the average Nigerian hardly takes interest in some of these things. People are now looking at, governors are happy. Oh, we will get a chunk of that and also fight for our re-election. We are going to do this project. We are going to. Does it stop at project? This money you are doing the project is not your own. It's borrowed. Somebody must pay that money. Yeah, and by that time you are not there. How will that person struggle to pay back? I have said and argued consistently that only borrow money when you have a project that will pay its way back, an economic venture that income will be derived from which you can use to pay the loan. Don't don't burden the other aspects of the economy with the loan you are taking.
Honestly,
If we take loan to it,
honestly,
you will, very soon they will tell you trader money. They will tell you a conditional transfer cash to people, the poorest people. That is absolute nonsense, economically speaking. You can't go and be distributing money on the street, 5,000, 10,000. How does that help the economy? How does that help the poor person? When you give him the 5,000, he chops that day, and the following day, what happens the following day? So why can't we come up with something even a reasonable person can think about? Are there no people thinking in that government? But that is not their problem. They don't want to think. They
yeah.
want cheap popularity that papers will carry. We have done this. And to an extremely poor person whose thinking has been removed by poverty, you give him 5,000. Oh, the government, they have chopped government. That's the way they put it in local parlance. From there,
Oh
you
my
have
God.
you have got a convertee. That's how they manipulate the poverty and ignorance of the average citizen for their selfish ends.
It's so sad, honestly. It's so sad. It's so sad. Honestly, I don't know what Nigerians, what we are waiting for. I don't know what we can consider, we can actually view or consider to be a breaking point. These people are just killing us. They are killing us and our children's children, yet unborn. It is so, so, so sad.